What is happening, people? Welcome back to the channel. KG is back, and we're talking some news previous to the international break, or during the international break, I should say, leading up to the big game against Burnley on Saturday. Got a little bit of injury news, and we got some players that have done pretty well on international duty as well, which I want to highlight. It's going to be other news, a little bits and pieces. Going to speak about Angus Kinnear's notes from the previous meeting. I know he's due to go on the square ball again, so I guess we'll get a full, version of that on YouTube. But I wonder if there's anything in there that you want to pick out, and we'll go through that. Also, BARCLAYS men. I've enjoyed that, and we're going to speak about that later for sure. Before we get into it, though, hit a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, of course, drop your comments below. Thank you to Mr. P, who donated a super thanks on the last video. Much appreciated, Mr. P. And thank you to Brian, who's become a member of the channel. Big up to all my members of the channels, big supporters of the channel. Go the extra mile for me, and I really do appreciate that. So if you want to become a member, link is in the description or is next to the subscribe button called join. Here we go. Yeah, man. Good morning or good afternoon, James. And yeah, Benny in the house. Isaac saying, listening to KG on my way to work doesn't get any better. I hope it does get better. Deshaun saying, hope we make a statement this weekend. Yeah, listen, we're going to be speaking about the Burnley game later on in the week. We're going to, obviously, Daniel Farker's going to speak tomorrow, which is going to be key to get some, team news and everything else like that. And then we'll do a preview of that probably on Friday, unless I roll it into the press conference thing. But of course, then we got the game Saturday, which I'm very much looking forward to, man. So glad club football is back, man. So glad. And shout out to you, Deshaun, and shout out to you, Ina, in the house. All right, listen, shall we just try and get through this, people? I've got a lot of tabs open, so shall we just get through this? Let's get through this, all right? Let's get through it. First of all, Darlow, congratulations to him for making his senior debut for Wales. Saw the double save that he pulled off. Was pulled out of it by a save off the line as well. Otherwise, that double save would have counted for nothing. So it counted for something good for Darlow. You know what I had pictured in my head? Because I'm a visual guy, people. I'm a very visual guy, as a lot of people will know. But I just had a feeling of like, has anyone seen that Debbie Ryan meme? If you know who Debbie Ryan is, I'm sure if you Google her, you'll know it will come up straight away. But where she's like flicking her hair back and looking at the singer so lovingly, I just wonder if Daniel Farker's going to look at Darlow like that now because he's a Welsh international. But listen, shout out to Darlow, who's getting his international career started. Don't know what that means for him going forward in terms of his game time, not at Leeds United necessarily, but maybe, I don't know, can't remember who the Welsh manager is. It's someone well known as well, but I think it's Bellamy, isn't it? But maybe he may want to move on come January. So that will be something to look out for with Darlow. He might get he's got a taste of this now. Want to keep his international career going good form into tournaments if they make it. So yeah, it's just one to look out for. But listen, salute to Darlow, and yeah, good on you, man. Yeah, Richard, it's been a long 2 weeks. It's horrible. Listen, we speak about this all the time in regards to international breaks. I mean, surely, we've got 3 of them. We've just had one. There's another one in October, and there's another one in November. Surely, wouldn't it just be better to do some of these internationals come the end of the season? I mean, surely it would be better to do it in 1 or 2 blocks, but spread out like it used to be. I remember when the international breaks used to be like September and March. That's more reasonable than what we get now. But money is money, people, and as we all know, the dollar, or sorry, the pound, I should say, speaks loudest when it comes to these things, doesn't it? But yeah, it's just too much, and it breaks all the flow as well. I mean, for some teams, if you're doing poorly, I guess it's a good thing. But if you're doing well, you don't want an international break, and you don't want to see your players come back injured either. So, but yeah, listen, Darlow, salute to you. Moving on to some of the other players, I'm not going to highlight all of them because we've got quite a few internationals in our team. But Junior Firpo added another assist to his tally for the year. I think LUFC data said that he's now at 11 for the calendar year 2024. Good for him. He seems to be doing well on the international stage. I don't think he played as a striker in terms of an out-and-out striker. I think he played more like a left forward adjacent to a striker kind of thing. Maybe he did move into the middle. I'm not going to profess that I watch these games here, but yeah, good for Junior Firpo. The opposition is what it is, but he's in good form, and long may it continue into the championship season. Who's next? Let's go with the injury news next. Because Max Verber sat out Austria's game against Norway with a knee issue. So I guess we're going to get more clarity from Daniel Farker when he speaks to the press on Thursday. But in terms of the squad, I know a lot of people don't like him. I understand. I got it. I'm fully aware that a lot of people don't like Max Verber. But obviously, when you take out a centre back like Max Verber from the squad, it now means James DeBile is our next up centre back. So you've just got to hope that if his knee problem is serious or is long term, even medium term injury, that our two centre backs who have been a bedrock at the back there, Joe Rodon and Pascal Strike, stay healthy, because that's the most important thing when it comes to the team. Because James DeBile, I've got confidence in the kid, I do, but I would like to see him blooded in. I've said it before when we was like, I think we was up 2 or 3-0, but we was very comfortable in the game. I would have liked to have seen him just come on for like the last 10 minutes just to get his feet wet at championship level. But hey, listen, if something happens to our first two centre backs, we may have to like draft him into a starting lineup, which is Daniel Farker ready for that? Was he anticipating that? Who knows? But we know Max Verber gets hurt a little bit, doesn't he? He's had his injury problems ever since he's joined this football club. So be interested to see what Farker says in regards to that. But we'll have to get more of an update on Thursday. Nige saying, please for Nige. Please for Darlow getting some proper game time. We may need him. It depends, Nige. Because even in the cup, didn't we played Borough in the cup and Millier started that one. So I think Daniel Farker is pretty much wedded to Millier, as in like he's going to play every game possible. I understand that he's the number one. He's also a vice captain at the football club. So I don't know if Carl Darlow is doing enough in training to push Millier, but hey, playing at international stage and he pretty much impressed by all reports I read. It doesn't hurt your cause, does it? And it's Welsh as well, so that's even bonus points for Cardano. But look, it all depends. I always think though with Meslier, if he does go on a bad run or those first shots, start to creep in when we've been dominant, then why not? It can't, obviously, honestly, it can't be any worse. It can't be any worse with Darlow to Meslier. There's not much of a difference. It's just that one's got way more value around the football world than the other. But yeah, listen, shout out to him, man. He's getting his international career up and running at 33. Cool, good for him, man. Who's next? So yeah, we'll wait and see on that one. Someone else who is impressed, which was obvious over the international break, and reports from Spain from the publication AS have suggested that Mateo Joseph has caught the eye of national team boss Luis de la Fuente, who wants a natural finisher at the 2026 World Cup. The 20-year-old has been in excellent form for club and country, which has been obvious. Look, prior to the game yesterday, he came on for the last 30 minutes for that game, didn't get a goal or assist, but impressed while he was on the pitch. It does not surprise me. When I've said this before and people thought I was crazy, but when you look at Spain and their makeup, they've got a couple of young strikers coming through. Now, this could either go the way of Joseph or it could go the way of Meslier. Because when I said this about Meslier a few years ago, he had competition with him, Lafont, and there was a few other French goalkeepers, Chevalier, who have just surpassed him. They've just gone past him, and it's not even close now. Meslier isn't even in those conversations. But with Joseph, if he keeps on putting in the work, uses his natural ability and continues to do what he does, it would not surprise me to see him go to the 2026 World Cup. Seems like a big shout now, but he's got all the tools to do so. And hopefully, people, it is with this football club, right? With this football club. But it doesn't surprise me that the national team, look, the national team boss used to manage the under-21s. He naturally progressed up to the senior team, so he already has an understanding of what the under-21s has, much like Lee Carsley with England, etc. So listen, all good things for Joseph. Just for him, just keep on doing what he's doing, and he will. The guy loves to work. He loves to improve, and he will get there. I'm sure of it. He will get there, health permitting, I should say. Yeah, Ali saying the movement for his goal was fantastic, something we've lacked for a long time. Yeah, it was superb. It was superb, man. Just the movement to the front post. And the thing is, you know what it is, people? It's like I say, when you watch other football clubs, apart from this one, obviously we watch this one week in, week out, it's our football club. But when you dip your head around and you see other strikers around, the striker pool isn't like it was 20 years ago, and we're going to get into that later. But these are things that happen, but we just haven't seen it in a while because we play so ploddingly with other players up front. But Joseph, with his speed, his skill, technique, hold up play, he's decent in the air, underrated in the air as well. It's what we've lacked for so long. So I'm delighted for Mateo Joseph, really am. And long may it continue, and long may it continue against Burnley this week. And David here saying Joseph is going to the top. He will. For me, he will, as long as he stays on this curb. I said this about Melia a few years ago, so I'm not going to backtrack and rewrite like I never said it. I did. I thought Melia was going to go to the top. At the time as well, he was being watched by Man United, which I know for a fact. He's being watched by a lot of top clubs around Europe, but then obviously his game just fell off. With Joseph, as long as he keeps putting the work, doesn't believe in his own hype, keeps his head down. I'm not saying don't be confident. Keep your confidence. Don't let that go. Then he will be absolutely fine. So yeah, listen, shout out to Joseph and long may it continue. But yeah, okay, moving on from Joseph. Where do we go next? Just wanted to give an update on one of speaking of young prodigies. I've spoken about this guy before, Matthias Quistgaarden. He's one that is going to hurt when he moves from Brøndby. And shout out to my Danish guy that always sends me clips of him whenever he does something good. Shout out to him. Danish friend. Yeah. He is just such a talent, and I think he's available for around 7 to 8 million. It's going to hurt when he goes to somewhere else and balls out, because this kid is the truth. He's a forward that plays in all positions. And listen, in the last game as well, he had 2 assists and a goal, and it's just talent. Just talent. He's going to go somewhere and he's going to ball out. And I just want it to be at this football club. What an option he would be. I'm just going to giving you an update. The kid is getting better as the years go on, and I hope I hope Leeds are in the conversation. That's all I'm saying. I hope we're in the conversation somewhere. Just miscellaneous news here, but I could not say nothing about it. People, have you seen this? Yeah, Zippy. You know what? That's not a bad shot. He will be off to Brighton. It's one of those. It would not surprise me if he goes Brighton. You're probably on the money there. But have you seen this story? I'm not going to get into the whole Brexit thing, because unlike other people, I will respect you when you don't want to speak about certain things. This is an escape for people. We talk about football here, but just think about how gutted Andy Mangang is. What is that? Mangang is going to be. Listen, Andy Mangang's move from Stockport to Real Madrid is off. Can you hear the 2 clubs involved there? He's been denied a work permit due to the whole Brexit rule changes. He's an Stockport an assistant, an attacking specialist key to their rise up the EFL. Did badges with Davide Ancelotti, and Carlo wanted him to refresh Real Madrid staff. Can you just think how gutted you'd be right now being this guy? Honestly, you literally could be molding, setting up plays with Vinny Jr., Rodrigo, Mbappe, working with Bellingham, all these guys, and you've lost out because of Brexit rules. Now, again, I don't care about Brexit rules. Don't bring all that politics here. I'm just saying, just think about how gutting that be. And I thought it was bad when you go into Europe now, if you go France or somewhere, and now you got to go into the non-EU queue. I thought that was the worst thing. This is gutting, though. This is gutting. This is gutting for him. But instead of working with Mbappe, he's now having to look at Brian Little rolling out of a beefeater on Sunday. Man, it's crazy. But those are the breaks. Maybe it will come to him in time, but that is gutting for him, man. And I feel bad for him. Not gonna lie, that's tough. Yeah, Ali. Who did that? That's tremendous, Ali. Who needs Mbappe when you got Lewis Pate? That's tremendous. I forgot. I completely forgot Lewis Pate ended up there. Completely forgot that. But you're absolutely right. Zippy saying the most gutting part is that he has to live in Stockport. That's true. Been through there a few times. Little bit rough still. But listen, people, we're coming. No. Angus Kinnear. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these notes. There's 3 pages, but it's not really in depth, and it was done back in like 15th of August. I don't know if everyone else has had a chance to read them yet, but if there is anything you want to highlight in regards to, Angus Kinnear's comments from this meeting, let me know in the comments below. Deshaun saying, a bit strange. I thought Spain will lax compared to the rest of EU in terms of Brexit. No idea, Deshaun. And you know what it is, when I don't have an idea, I won't speak on it. I have no idea, because I do know that with the Brexit rules, I think some European countries did change their approach to how they take stuff from England too. I think it was both sides transactional, but I can't say for sure. All right, so I'm not going to say here, but I think a few things did change with Brexit in regards to that. But again, you know, that's not for me to say. You know what I'm saying? Um, okay, so in regards to Angus Kinnear, now the thing is with Angus Kinnear for me, people is I watched the last Square Ball interview. I don't take in a lot of Leeds content, but I do watch it when like senior figures go on channels. And that interview, I don't remember a lot that was said in it. I'll be real with you, but I just remember there was a lot of spin. There was a lot of dancing around the questions in certain things, and of course, him being in the job that he's in, he's always gonna skew it to be more favorable to him in terms of doing the best that he can and trying his best for this and that and everything else. Of course, that's his job. But in the last one, in comparison to the one that he did before with them, which I felt was a little bit more open. I felt like he was really like protecting himself and his job in that one. So it's going to be interesting to see when he actually does go back on the square ball and see what kind of questions they give him as well. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, politician type answers. Yeah, and this is the thing. I don't remember it in full. I don't remember it in detail, but I do remember there was a lot of things where you could just, if you were smart enough, you could read between the lines and go, okay, that's cap. One of the things I remember is saying that we was looking at and Jaden Anthony since July. Load of rubbish. That was one thing that stuck out in my head. But we was never looking at Jaden Anthony from July. Why cap? Why cap? But listen, Angus Kinnear talking about things like this. He thanks everyone for attending. Obviously, not going to read all of this. He was saying that Archie Gray and Crescencio Somerville's departures were to be expected. This is in the middle of August, people, so this is kind of old right now. So he provides updates and explains why release clauses are included in certain circumstances, using Rutter as an example. Just saying, without a relegation clause, he wouldn't have been signed for the club at the time in January 2023. The club made every effort to keep Jorginho, but he wanted to play in the Premier League. And that's something I've said before. Look, in terms of Jorginho and other players that you want to sign, especially when we go back up, people, as a newly promoted Premier League team, if you want some of the players, and I've got some players in mind that I want us to sign, if they want a relegation release clause in there, you put it in there. Obviously, you try and make it as favorable and as beneficial to the club as possible, but you're not getting these players without clauses. You're just not. There's some players that won't sign for mid-table Premier League teams without relegation release clauses. So what chance do we have without them? And that's why the 49ers, even though they're going to control the clauses a lot more like they did with Archie Gray and the 40 million there, we will still have to use them going forward. Every club does. We are not special in that way. Every single club, even, I mean, it's mandatory in Spain in La Liga, but Real Madrid players have release clauses. Yes, some of them are 1 billion and all that. It's unrealistic, but a lot of clubs have release clauses. What we need to do, people, is be a club that's good enough to go into the Premier League, ascend the table, and not have to worry about relegation release clauses, and just maybe those clauses that say, well, if we're not in the Champions League this year, you can go to a Champions League club for a certain amount. That would be the ideal thing, but we've got work to do to get there, of course. He explains as well, from a business point of view, no one wants promotion more than the 49ers. Invested in Leeds to be a Premier League side. Club have missed out on targets this summer, as no amount of money can attract certain players because of the Premier League's pull is vast. But this is the profile player the club wants. Kinnear says a lot of business now under the ownership is intentionally kept away from the media to stop other clubs hijacking the deals, which we've heard about before. Talking about the tour again, that's stuff that really don't matter right now. They're just going to try and improve the tour going forward. Ticketing, stones, but yeah. So there's not a lot there in terms of that. In terms of that, but listen, it's the loan release clauses that I don't like. Yeah, Ali, those things should never have been here. Those things should never have been here in terms of no other club runs like that. It's criminal that we had those in there. Really is. In terms of loan release clauses, never heard of it. You have sale clauses. Even Jorginho. That's why I gave Jorginho sale an A+, because we got more than what we paid for him. But if we was to lose him on loan year after year, that's poor business. We did bad business before, but look, the 49ers in that way anyway are trying to rectify that as well. Why people look? Yeah. Nige saying Kinnear should be nowhere near a club full of BS. Yeah. But in all fairness, Nige, it's something I've said before with people at those kind of levels. A lot of them are full of BS. You always find, and I'm sure with any sector, people, you guys work in various sectors, you'll find that there's more knowledgeable people on the floor than when they get to the top. They've got the aura of being the chairperson or the, you know, the CEO. But when you speak to them and then you try and dig in their brain, it's like, how did you actually get here, bro? You know what I mean? It's all aura, it's all title, job title. That's why I've always said, even when I was working at office, which never helped me, as you can probably imagine, I never let job titles, you know, dictate how I spoke to people or how I let them speak to me. You must be crazy. You know what I mean? I got some stories about when I was working at office, and we'll go into those at some point. But oi, funny stuff, funny stuff. Um, Paul saying, even if I hadn't heard of loan release clauses, just show just shows how bad our contracts were at the time. They were terrible. But we've had bad contracts in history, and even going back to my, as I call it, the golden period, that Seth Johnson contract, even Eric Backer's contract. I think even Aaron Lennon was speaking about that in regards to his deal. It was low on wages, but then it kept increasing after 5 appearances. That's why he couldn't get played. Yeah, we've been historically bad with contracts, so hopefully the 49ers fix that. Yeah, guys, listen, I do read out comments quite clearly, and these aren't even super chats, so no one can accuse me of just picking out members or super chats. But if it doesn't pertain to the conversation, I don't want to be skewed off into one direction. So that's all it is. Okay, all right, that's all it is. In terms of that, so yeah, Angus Kinnear, see you later. Now, here we go. Now, I wish I could play this video, people. As you've seen, I don't know if you've seen on X, guys, Deshaun. Let me tell you, Deshaun. You know what? You know what it is, Deshaun. I want to go on one of those like podcasts with a group of guys and talk about these things. You know what I mean? I don't want to just do it by myself, kind of thing. I want to be in a group setting. But listen, I got some stories. Let me just say. Anyway, listen. Let's not go off on a tangent, like I've just said. Mark Viduka being you know highlighted by Leeds United in Barclays Men. Now, if you haven't seen Barclays Men, just click the hashtag on X. Unfortunately, now it's been infiltrated as with everything on X, with people now putting in Fabio Barini and all these scrubs. But when you see the talent that was out there at the time, Morten Gamst Pedersen is a long-term favorite of mine. Loved him at Blackburn Rovers. What a player! You know, Johan Kabay, you know, real ballers. And you just look at the comps and look at the way that it is. And it's even got people that weren't around at the time to see it go, where is this football now? And you just look at the manipulation on the ball, like from a Kabay, long range shots, free kicks, set pieces. Guys, think about how many less set pieces you see go in these days. It's rare that you've got free kick specialists. It's insane right now. And that's why I always, with modern players, when they're special talents, you've got to protect them. Like Trent, the way people go on about Trent Alexander-Arnold, and you know it hurts me with him being Liverpool, but he is world class talent, and all people keep going on about is his defensive, you know, awareness not being as it should. His defensive ability is fine. The way that he plays football is top level. He could have played back in the day, and he would have been a top star then. There's some players now that are top stars now that wouldn't even got on the benches back in the day. Facts, big facts as well. Not even close to being in the class of guys like this. Mark Viduka, want to highlight him simply because let me see. Sean saying Marky Viduka, great man. Met him at Crazy Tykes in Thorpe Arch. Flash forward 20 years, I bought his top for $90. He was top notch. 20 goals a season, easy. Hold up play, big man play. No one could knock him off the ball. Elite finisher, finesse, power, whichever you want. Good in the air. That is the level. Mark Viduka, that is the level. And it's funny because there's another clip going around of Crysencio Somerville's goal against Liverpool. And it is crazy to see in this video montage here of Viduka, the quality of play that we had in this era is insane. And then when you look at the one of Somerville scoring against Liverpool, that winner, which was absolutely brilliant at the time, it is no wonder we got relegated, people. We shouldn't look at that team and go, how did we go down with 31 points? It would be like, how did we accumulate 31 points? Seriously, our team in the Premier League in our second time around is absolutely horrendous. And it's not only, we knew it at the time, obviously, But when you step away from it for like a couple years and you look back at it and you go, how was we ever going to survive with that team? It is absolutely horrific. But when you look at Mark Viduka and this Barclays men montage, the quality that we had, the world class talent in Kuhl that we had, the glue, Bowyer, box to box maestro. Oh my lord, Jesus! This is it, people. So I would advise you, if you need some real football in your life, if you need some real footballers, just remember what it was like to feel football, not just worry about a system, not worry about PSR, not worry about any of this rubbish. Go back in this hashtag and look at some of the greats from this era. And the thing is, some of these players weren't actually great. Look at Loire. He wasn't a great player, but he probably hits the ball better than a lot of strikers do these days. It's just the way it is. Um, I know, I do all the time, man. I do all the time. Adsa saying nostalgia hitting hard. Hasselbank and Viduka, a legend. Yeah. Darren saying Duke Viduka, the 4 goals against Liverpool. You know what it is, Darren, with that? It's one of those things, though, is it's like mainstream stuff. When you see it so many times, it's like, oh, not this game again. There's the thing is with Viduka, there were so many goals. Arsenal, Newcastle, the finishes. Oh my lord. Just go to this montage alone. They've got quite a few of them in here. Just a different kind of striker he was. That's a marksman. That's someone who you should back to the hilt. And he used to get stick as well. I remember seeing it in papers because obviously there wasn't really social media then. Seeing in papers, Viduka lazy and all this stuff. Viduka doesn't care, and the guy was bagging. That's a tuck shot, man. Respect it. Yeah, we love a Viduka right now. Um, let's have a look here. Is Jake saying Viduka is my all-time favorite player? I'm not mad at that, Jake. I completely understand it. He just think about in that era as well with Viduka. We had like it was ridiculous. Even I knew when I was young then that we've got too many strikers on the books here. It didn't make sense. But no matter what, Viduka was the mainstay. There was rotation with everything. Q would sometimes get moved up to play alongside him, and Wilcox would come in on the left. But then it would be Smith. If Bridges was healthy, he'd probably play a game. There was just too many. Robbie Fowler, Robbie Keane. But no matter what, Viduka was the guy. Absolute guy. Just proper shooter, man. Real shooter. Yeah, real shooter, Deshaun. Absolutely, man. But listen, I just wanted to say that in regards to that, and just it isn't about reminiscing about these good times. It is good to look back at it. I do like watching Premier League years when we was an absolute powerhouse in this country and around Europe. But it's about trying to get back to this level. It's about getting a team that is going to compete at the Premier League level where this team can go again, where this club deserves to be. So that's the point of me going on about a Viduka, about a Kuhl, about a Bowyer, Woodgate, Ferdinand, all these absolute greats that we've had in terms of class of player. It's about who are going to be our next ones. Who can we compare that class to the next one? And that's what I'm excited about. And look, it's uncomfortable for people. Some people don't like talking about the future. They like to stay in where the misery is or where we had bad times because it's easy to talk about. It's easy to reminisce on that. I will always try and look to see where we can go as a football club going forward and being the very best again, because we can do it again. We've definitely got it to be the best again. And people call Beckford a hero, yeah, and that's what I mean. Look, I like I do like Beckford a lot. I wasn't really watching football a lot in that era when we was in League One. I was doing other things in essence, but you always knew with Beckford that he was good for goals, but there's levels to it. And that's why when people try and talk about Pablo and all the other championship good players we've had, it doesn't hold a candle to what these guys did, because these guys did it week in, week out against the very, very best. And even in Europe, when we was going up against the very best teams, these guys would shine. And it's a completely different level to, with all due respect to playing Oldham Athletic or even in the championship, having a great game against Swansea, completely different level. So it's good for that level of what it was. But in order to really go up against these kind of players, the Vidukas and Boys of the world, you have to do it at the top level for me. And that's my personal opinion. You may disagree, and that's cool. But you can't measure Pablo Hernandez assisting against Swansea City than you can against Kuhl, turning 3-4 players out and putting it on a plate to Michael Bridges. You just can't. There's just no comparison in my mind anyway, but you may disagree, of course. magnificent goal, one of many. But this guy's been Chris Benoit out the football club, so you'll never see it unless you go on YouTube and look through that grainy footage. But he's got a his Harry Kewell's highlight reel is on YouTube, and if you can even open yourself to watch it, because I know some people don't want to watch it, and that's fine. But there's only Rafinha comes close to his talent level. Only Rafinha, no one else. It doesn't matter who you say, Snodgrass, Pablo. Who else have we had? Max Gradle. Who else? Who else has been here? The only person when it comes to magic and natural ability and is Rafinha to Harry Kewell. Those are the two. Yeah, as if you're saying that's the beauty of football, though, isn't it? You got heroes at all levels. Yeah, I mean, heroes. I wouldn't put heroes for me. Ziffy, I'm not a 14-year-old kid, but I understand what you're saying. But look, yeah, you have players that you admire, and look, I love that League One team, I really do, and I maintain if we could have kept Beckford, if he would have stayed, I don't begrudge him for moving to Everton. He made the right move. He went to the Premier League. He deserved that move. But if we could have kept him in the Championship that year, I think that team gets promoted. I do. That's how good that team was. And it would have been interesting to see how that team would have played out in that era of Premier League, where it was coming into that Shane Long era. You know what I mean? That Shane Long kind of striker where, let's just work hard. Goals don't matter, but he got 3 goals a season. But look how hard he works for the team, which is still here today. But yeah, BMG saying potentially Somerville. Maybe BMG in the future, but I'm more talking so at Leeds United. When it comes to talent at Leeds United that I've seen in over the last 20 years, there are only 2 players that stand out for me. And as much magic as Pablo did provide, and he was good for us, absolutely brilliant for us, and he would get us out of a jam 9 times out of 10 when we were struggling. He would unlock the door. But when you're talking top level, Rafinha did it in the year where we had no fans. That was nice. But then he also did it the next year where fans were there, and he was instrumental in us staying up. And there's not many other players that could have done that. Not many. And Kewell did it as well, along with VIDUKA back in the day where we survived 1 year. We eventually get relegated when we lose that kind of magic. But Kewell and VIDUKA were absolutely instrumental in us staying up that year. That game against Arsenal at Highbury, that's Thierry Henry's Arsenal, people. That's Vieira, that's Petit. That's, those kind of players were there. And these players that we had were the difference in staying up because of the talent level that they had, that they possessed. Honestly. Yeah, Rafinha. Honestly, you've seen Rafinha and seen him, score hatties at Barcelona. And look, I love Rafinha. Look, the shirt in the back is there or there. But it's about finding the next one. That's what it is for me. I absolutely love Rafinha, and I'm glad he's doing well at Barca. La Liga champion as well. Yeah, Jeremy. Worst thing ever was sacking O'Leary, then everything went sour. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it, Jeremy? Because we sacked O'Leary, maybe because of the book. Maybe that was part of it. I'm sure that unsettled quite a few of the players. But ultimately, we sacked him because we didn't finish in the Champions League places. Think about that. Think about the standard level at the time. We sack O'Leary for finishing, was it 5th? I think it was 5th at the time. That's insane. But that's where I want us to get back again. And I do believe that we can do that at some point. We just have to get everything right on the pitch, people. Just have to get everything right. Sean here saying, honestly, Rafinha is my favorite player of all time due to his flair and goals. Yeah, I'm not mad at that, Sean. Again, it was a short spell with Rafinha, but what a spell. And that's what it is for me in terms of players like Rafinha. If you were to say it, like Sean saying here, if Rafinha is your favorite player, I completely get it. That's what he should be as a footballer. It's not about the system, it's about the player, it's about the individual talent that they possess, which has gone out the game now. That's why you're seeing all these players that don't know what to do unless a coach is holding their hands. That's why it's good to go back onto this hashtag and go and look at some hoopers. 2 guy for Blackburn. Boy. Even, you know what? People will even laugh at it, but Darren Bent is in the 100 goal club in the Prem. He was a marksman back in the day. Crazy. BMG asking here, who do you think can be the standout in our current squad? Ooh, man. You know what? It's interesting because it's interesting with that because we've got a battle on the left-hand side, haven't we? With a lone player in Solomon and Ramazani, which we'll speak about later on in the week when it comes to the Burnley game. But I think Mateo Joseph has got the tools to get there. if he carries on in this trajectory, it's hard to see anyone else though. Because when you're talking talent like that, like a Viduka, I'm talking of big brackets here. I'm talking of very, very elite brackets. You can't just stick anyone in there, I'm afraid. But yeah, maybe Joseph, as you know, at this rate, because if he becomes Spain's number 9 at some point, then he's got it, hasn't he? He's definitely got it. Ali saying, I know it's all about the here and now, but I love reminiscing about the Champions League days. So do I, Ali. My thing is though, I like talking about it, and I'll never get bored of speaking about that era. I still watch Premier League years for that era, but my thing is, it's not about just staying on that time. It's about trying to get to that time again, and that's why I think that's why I don't get. No, let me just carefully how I word this. I think that's why I have a hard time on here because people don't are scared or or don't know about the unknown. It's like when I've been speaking about Joseph. You have comments that come in saying, "Yeah, Joseph, he may have the potential, but we don't know about him, so we'll need to stick with so and so." But that's the problem. People don't are scared of the future, and maybe that's something in life in general. People are just very comfortable where they are. But I like to think about the future and what could be, and that's why it's not just why I watch so many football. I love football, but that's why you watch other football, especially Premier League, to see what you need to when you get there. It's like you can have get a guy in this division that is absolutely brilliant, but you know that if they go to the Prem, it's not going to work out so well. But that's where you have to differentiate between the two levels. Um, Absolutely brilliant, man. Absolutely brilliant. Ali asking here, how far do you see the 40? Oh, that's a loaded question, Ali. That's one for another time. I don't know. Let's see what they do when if they get to take us up first. We'll go with that one first, but we got work to do, haven't we, people? We've got work to do. BMG. Oh, this is an interesting one. Strout goes under the radar a bit, but I've always thought he was class. Strout for me, he was like that one for me back with Melier. I thought that he was going to the top, and once again, think about the trajectory he was on at the time. He was being spoken about partnering Van Dijk at Liverpool. People forget that, but then he went down the toilet. He looked like a player. He was a player that needed his hand held. Whether it wasn't Cooper that was holding his hand, it would be Verba. When Verba came in, he made Strout strong again. And then when Verba went out injured, I remember this period, people. I'm not rewriting anything. Strout went back to being timid again. So, but he's rebuilding his stock now. Strout is looking better than ever right now. And if you remember at the time as well, he had Club Brugge come in for him. I think now, if you're looking at better clubs coming in than Club Brugge, and listen, Club Brugge are Champions League recently. Who are we to talk? But I'm talking about the caliber of club that will come in for Strout now will probably be better than Club Brugge because I feel like he's rebuilt his reputation, rebuilt it nicely. And shout out to him for doing that because I didn't think that he'd be able to do it at this football club. I thought that he'd need a fresh start to go elsewhere and rebuild his career, but he's done brilliantly, man. I'm proud of Pascal, man, because this is the player that I thought he should be. Dominant centre back with goals in him from set pieces. That is the defender I thought he would be, and it looks like he's coming back. So, and I do think Strout will play at the Premier League, no problem. Oh, Scott saying here though, Strout struggles in the Prem because of pace. It depends. It depends, Scott. If you've got someone next to him though that has got the pace, look at it like the way Tottenham do. I mean, maybe this is a bad example because Tottenham are pretty Bielsa open right now with under Ange. But think about the dynamic they've got with Van der Ven and Christian Romero. Romero's still got pace; he's still pretty quick, but Van der Ven is the speedster of the two. If you've got someone next to him with Strauch and he can just do what he does best, which is read the game, tackle from the front, no need for recovery tackles with Pascal, be strong in the air. I think he will cope. And I think with age, he's getting better with that. So I think he can work in the Prem. But listen, time will tell, won't it? Time will definitely tell. Deshaun's not too sure as well. Listen, hey, listen, that's the great thing about it, innit? Let's go back up. Let's go back up and see if he can do it. Because look, it didn't go right for him in the last period. But for me, he's at the right age now. He's improved. His confidence has clearly got better. I think he can do it. Whereas others who were poor in the Premier League before, I think would be poor yet again. And I think it would be a mistake taking some of these to the Prem with us. You know, I think we'd just be relegation fodder yet again. But yeah, Van der Ven is rapido. Yeah, I agree that Ziffy. I think if you go in with that partnership full time in the Prem, we may have a problem. But listen, we'll discuss that later in the day. But Danny is right here. A player with a good footballing brain can outdo. Okay, let me try again, Danny. I'm coming to the end here. A player with a good footballing brain can outdo anyone with pace. Not anyone, Danny, but you're absolutely right. And I go with simple players like this. Look at Silva, Thiago Silva for Chelsea in his latter years. He ain't quick, but he'll outread the game ahead of you. Adams back in the day. As much as I hate to say it, John Terry, he goes in that category as well. If you're talking strikers, Sheringham back in the day, never quick, but he'll outsmart you. There's plenty of times where the brain outthinks pace. Of course there is, 100. But yeah, listen, people, we've gone on long enough, and quite frankly, a lot of this one's been a nostalgic discussion, which I don't mind. I don't mind at all. It's been good to speak about it, man, and because it just makes you just want those days back. For me, I'll speak for myself. It makes me want those days back for this football club. I'm not happy with this club just settling being on paper big Leeds United than being in the Championship or being a relegation fodder team. I'm not happy with that. I'm not content with that. That doesn't make me happy. I want this club to be one of the best again, so I can really brag to my friends, so I can really brag and put my nuts on the table and say what you're saying now. We used to could do that with teams like Tottenham. You know, we used to could go toe to toe against Arsenal and win the game and finish third in the table and not finish 17th or get relegated. That's where I want this football club to be. I want trophies in this club. I want it before, I get too senile to see it. You know what I mean? Man said Molinar, good old Robert Molinar. Oh, Ziffy Letitia. Oh my God, that's the perfect example. David Gray said it earlier. That's one of my Prem goats, Letitia. Just think about how what they'd say about Letitia in this day and age on the pitch. Never mind his off the pitch stuff. Doesn't matter what you want to say about his off the pitch stuff. That's not what we're talking about. Letitia as a footballer, he literally kept Southampton up. Go and check the records, man. Over 100 goals from midfield. He put that team on his back. He retires, they get relegated the next year. I don't believe in coincidences like that, people. I just don't. I don't believe in it. He was absolutely brilliant. But because of the way that he played, just think about how he plays the game. People will be bringing up his heat map, his touch map. Oh, he didn't track back enough. Are you crazy? That's Matt Letitia you talk about, man, a human highlight reel. Respect the greats, man. Respect the greats. Michael here saying Woodgate was a better defender than Ferdinand. Injuries ruined him. Michael, we had them together. And that's the beautiful thing. That's the wonderful thing about that. If you want to argue between Woodgate and Ferdinand, I love it. But we had both. That's how blessed we were as a football club. And you just think if we could have kept that together. Listen, it's all if and buts. Of course it is. It hasn't happened. Maybe in an alternate reality, it does. If we had kept that team together and just made sensible signings, I'm so sure we would win a trophy at some point. Woodgate and Ferdinand as our centre backs, people. Think about that. Rather be in as third choice at the time as well. God almighty. We were blessed, people. We were blessed. And hopefully we'll see those days again for sure. For sure. You guys are keeping me on here. You know what? I don't mind. Hold on. BMG saying Berbatov, another one. Oh my Lord. Berbatov. Oh, he's so lazy. He doesn't do anything. And then as soon as the ball comes to him, one touch, control, finish, bang. That was Berbatov. Just silky. In fact, he still does clips now on his, I think on his Insta or whatever platform he's on, and he's still got the touch now. You know what I mean? Just class players like that, man. I do miss it. Honestly, I do miss football like this. This football today is not what it was. Just beautiful. No, I can't stay, BMG. You better get back to work, my man. You know what I mean? Just get back to work, all right? But listen, people, that touch, yeah, marvelous. But look, I'm gonna leave it there, people. Before I might have to go for on Premier League years now. You've done it to me. You've done it to me. Absolute Deshaun. Game's gone. It's been gone. It's been gone, Deshaun. But listen, people, I hope you've enjoyed the stream. Like the video before you go, subscribe to the channel, drop your comments below, and I'll see you in the next one, people. Peace out.